Welcome to Topics and Issues. I'm your host, Monica Renee, and today I wanted to touch on some serious issues, sexual abuse and sexual conduct. Today I'm joined by the social change specialist from the Greater Cleveland Rape Crisis Center, and she's going to educate us today on some of these issues. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, can you introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do?
My title is Social Change Specialist. So basically what I do, I help with the PR, marketing, and community outreach at the Rape Crisis Center.
Okay, can you explain 3 types of touches for kids that are in grades K through 2?
One thing I think parents are really afraid to talk about this kind of thing. You know, we don't want to have the birds and bees talks with our kids. So when you're thinking, oh, they're so little, we can't talk about this, but it's never too young as long as you're talking about it age appropriately. And one of the first things you can do is to let your child know that their body belongs to them. It's off limits to anybody else. And you think about all the times when grandma comes by or grandpa comes by and the kid doesn't want to give grandma or grandpa a hug. And we're saying, oh, just give your grandma a hug. The kid has a right to say, no, I don't want to today. And when you give them those boundaries when they're younger, then if they find themselves in a situation as they get older, they know they have a right to say no.
Okay.
But the 3 kinds of touches, there's the safe touch, the ouch touch, and the uh-oh touch. Safe touches are, you know, like a pat on the back from your teacher at school. Oh, you did a good job. That's a safe touch. It's a hug from your mom or dad when you're feeling sad or you need encouragement, or just, you know, a hug, good morning. That's a safe touch. Things that make you feel good and feel comfortable. But you also have the right, even if there's a safe person, you have the right to say, no, I don't feel like giving you a hug right now. Or if, you know, aunt or uncle gives you a tickle, and usually you like it, but sometimes you don't feel like being tickled, you can say no. An ouch touch, of course, is something that hurts. So slapping, hitting, kicking. It's confusing to children if someone they trust and respect and love and who loves them, so a parent or a guardian, they say they love me, but they hit me. That's not okay. So it's good to teach a child that they can go to an adult that they trust and let them know that someone is hurting them. So that's what an ouch touch is.
Okay.
An uh-oh touch is something that makes a child feel uncomfortable. And you teach a child age appropriately, like, you know, a kindergartner, that those parts of your body that are covered by your bathing suit, those are your private parts. And no one has the right to see those or touch those unless it's a doctor who's taking care of you, or, you know, getting a shower or bath and you need help from your parent. But those parts are off limits. So that's an uh-oh touch. It makes you feel uncomfortable, and you should tell an adult that you trust.
Okay. What is the difference between sexual harassment and flirting?
Flirting is something that is welcome between both parties. So if a man or a woman, you know, winking at each other, or, you know, whatever it may, your husband comes around and smacks you in the butt, you know, you might like that. But if it's unwanted by either party, then it becomes harassment. And for adults, we pretty much understand that, and we know, like in the workplace, that a boss never has the right to flirt with you, and there's some very specific guidelines. But teenagers, that's something it's new to them, that they're experiencing, and they could be very confused about it. So what we tell teens is that if it's something that is unwelcome, it's harassment. First time it happens, you say, I don't want you to do that. It's not okay. If it continues to happen, it becomes harassment. It doesn't matter if the person who is flirting says, well, I just, you know, I like you. I wasn't intending to do you any harm. It doesn't matter. If it's unwelcome, then it becomes harassment. So flirting is mutual, harassment.
Okay, flirting is mutual. Okay. Can you explain rape awareness? Like, what do we need to know?
Well, basically, when we're talking about rape awareness, it's talking about rape culture. So what our society can perpetuate a rape culture. We think about women being objectified and denigrated in advertising. You see it all the time in television ads, magazine ads. There's one thing, too, that has kind of been shocking to me lately. People are using rape as slang. So someone will, I've heard this before, say, I can't believe the cell phone company is charging me so much. They're just raping me.
Oh,
No.
okay, yeah.
You know, you've heard that. And it's like, that's part of rape culture where we just use it like it doesn't really mean anything. And that is disrespectful to survivors who've been through a horrific, violent experience, and you're comparing that to your being overcharged on your cell phone bill. That's just, so that's basically what rape culture is, blaming victims. You're blaming the survivor, saying that, well, she shouldn't have been wearing that. Why was she wearing that? Or why was she there at night? Or why was she so drunk? Now, if you get drunk or you do drugs, you have a right to have a hangover. You have a right to have a bad day the next day. You don't have a right to be raped. If you're wearing a short skirt in the winter or you're wearing a tank top, you have a right to be cold or uncomfortable. You don't have the right to be raped.
Okay. Okay. Now, can you actually explain the difference between sexual assault and consensual sex?
Sexual assault is pretty self-explanatory. It is unwanted. It's something that's done by force or by threat, usually a violent act. Sexual coercion is, hey baby, if you love me, you'll do it.
Oh, okay.
So you're coercing someone into doing something they really don't want to do, and you're pressuring them. And how many times does that happen?
Right.
It seems to be a common thing, but it can be common too now for girls to do that to boys. And say, if you don't have sex with me, I'm going to tell everybody that you didn't have sex with me, and you're really not a man. And if you were a man, you'd sleep with me.
Right.
So that's coercion. It's when you're forcing someone by pressure to have sex with you.
Okay.
Consensual sex is when both parties say, yes, I will have sex with you. And it's not, actually in Ohio, if you're drunk, you can't consent.
Right.
So that could be considered rape. You could be charged with that. And that's something that people in college need to know. You're going away to college and you think about all the parties and they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to wait for Susie to get drunk and then I'll make my move on her. That's not okay. That's rape because
I didn't even know that.
Isn't that, yeah.
Wow.
So young men can get themselves in a lot of trouble because they think it's okay. Well, I'll just get her drunk and then we'll have sex. That's not okay. That's rape because she didn't consent.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. For young people, like teens that are starting to date, can you actually give us some examples on a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship?
A healthy relationship is when your boyfriend or girlfriend respects you for who you are, gives you space, and wants to be with you, enjoys your company, but isn't pressuring you into having sex, isn't being... Sometimes, here's an example, sometimes girls will think it's cute. It's like, well, he wants to know where I am all the time, or he gets jealous when I talk to other boys, or he doesn't let me go out with my girlfriends because he says he wants to be with me all the time. Mm-hmm. That's not healthy.
Okay.
That could actually escalate into a domestic violence kind of situation, a partner that could be dating violence. So those are definitely keys to look out for.
What is the greatest myth about being raped? Like, for example, a prostitute sells her body. So if if someone has sex with her and she doesn't want to have, if they force themselves on her because she sells her body, is that still considered rape?
It is rape. If she said no, it's rape. There are probably plenty of times there is consensual sex where someone pays her for sex, but there are other times if she says no, it's rape because it has to be consensual. But a lot of people, because they'll say, oh, if she's a prostitute, well then she deserves it or she's asking for it, and that's just not true. It is never the survivor's fault. And one thing that we talk about, if someone's wearing a Rolex watch, they don't say, well, why was he wearing that watch when he got robbed? You don't, if someone has a very nice car, they're like, well, he was just asking for it because he was driving that car around. No one has a right to be robbed, but no one asks those silly questions either, right? But when someone is raped, we ask those questions all the time. Well, why was she there? Why was she wearing that? What was she doing there? And, calling women names and say she was asking for it. And that's just not true.
Okay. What about men? Can men be raped?
They can be. The statistics show that 1 in 6 men is raped or sexually assaulted as a child. And men have a hard time coming forward because people will ask, well, I'm a man. I'm supposed to be able to fight it off, or it makes them feel like they're less than a man if they are raped. And the statistics say 1 in 6 men, but it could be plenty more because it's so hard for them to come forward. And we've been seeing a lot more of that because of the Penn State case and Syracuse University. A lot of men are coming forward because they're feeling like, I'm not alone. It's happened to plenty of other people too. And really, rape is not an act of sex. It's an act of violence and dominance and control and power. And men in prison are raped because whoever's who's the rapist is trying to exert their control and dominance over another inmate. And those men, the rapists, are saying that they're heterosexual. It's just, so it's more an act of power than of sex. It has really nothing to do with sex.
Right, and just because a male is either molested or raped, that does not make them gay. I hear that a lot. That doesn't make anyone gay because they were molested or raped by the same sex. Can you tell us what type of services the Cleveland Rape Crisis Center offer?
We have support services for survivors. We have individual counseling. And then we have group therapy. We also have counseling for what we call co-survivors. So if a child has been raped, then the parent will probably want some counseling too, need help to get through that, because as a parent you're thinking how, you want to protect your child, and so there are a lot of issues that parents may have too, or a spouse, if their wife is raped, will want help too. So we have a variety of counseling services. We also have an advocacy program for going through the justice system. So we have advocates who can show up at the hospital or show up at the police station when you're giving your report, and we'll hold your hand through the entire process, even if you prosecute or decide not to prosecute, but they'll be with you the entire way. We also have a lot of education and prevention programs. We have a leadership development program called U360, where we help young people become leaders and to be activists to prevent sexual violence and to understand rape culture and to stand up and say, this isn't right, that this isn't the way we should be treated, or this isn't the way we should treat women. There's something called MOST Club, Men of Strength Club, and so it teaches boys how to be real men, and they have mentors, and this is the way you should treat women, and how rape culture is not acceptable, and teaches them how to stand up. And there's bystander intervention, because if you're at a party and you see someone taking someone who's drunk into another room, you need to step up, because you're guilty if you stand by and let it happen. So we have a lot of prevention and education programs too.
Okay. Well, can someone just call and maybe talk to someone anonymously?
Absolutely.
Is that available?
Absolutely. That's usually the first step, is calling the hotline. And that number is 216-619-6192. You can call 24 hours a day. It's completely anonymous. Get any help that you need, whether the assault happened 30 years ago or if it happened in the last 24 hours. There's direction and help, and everything is all of the counseling, completely free, completely anonymous. There's no insurance, so that there's no trail that you have had any kind of services.
Okay, and one last question. How can we contact the center direct? Can you give us the website, the phone number to the center?
ClevelandRapeCrisis.org.
Okay.
And the hotline is usually the best way to get services, 216-619-6192.
Okay.
And you can call our office too. That number is 216-619-6194 if you want to make an appointment for therapy. But the hotline is usually the best number.
Okay, well, thank you, Jackie. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us. If you have any topics or issues that you would like me to discuss, just email me at topicsandissues with MonicaRenee@gmail.com. See you next time.